riders on Atari. I said sorry, I'ma have to pass like Nash to Amari. Tiger up early on a Sunday, sinking birdies while the pigskin spinning through the air, tight and birdie. It's a TD, it's a TKO, a home run, it's a hat trick. Ain't no way to be an all-star without practice. So if you down to sacrifice your life for a draft pick, it's a pretty sweet position you can live in if you have them things in the air. If you got game, wiggle like you just don't care. If you got game, playing like you got no fear, then you got game. If you came here to win, yeah, you got game.
What's going on there, fam? This is Greazy Keyz in the rBeatz studio with my good friend Eli Yacinthe. Here, just making a return to the rBeatz studio to kind of feature your new album that's getting ready to come out. Eli, welcome to the studio, man.
Thanks for having me, man.
Kind of coming in hot this week, just for a few days to Charlotte from Boston, correct?
Yes, yeah.
Just graduated from Berklee.
Just finished.
Man, congratulations. Wow. What an immense accomplishment, man. That's got to feel really good.
It's weird that I'm on the other side of that, you know?
Yeah, really.
Like, I literally feel like I was just playing and go and telling everybody, getting excited, and
it feels that same way. Just being on, just being your friend and kind of following you online and kind of checking it out. And what an amazing ride! I can only imagine.
Thanks. No, it's been fun. I learned so much. I don't know, but I love coming back home now too, and it puts things into perspective for me.
I would imagine so.
I can really see how much I've changed.
Yes.
And, so
yeah, I had the pleasure of meeting you and jamming with you, joining your band back in January 9th, 2020, opening for Albert Lee.
Yeah, it was crazy. That's crazy that happened. It was kind of like a distant memory.
It really is,
like
Booth Playhouse, but man, unforgettable, really.
Yeah.
And what an awesome opportunity. And I appreciate that, just to have an opportunity to meet you and support you and just to hear you then. And I can imagine now you were just probably just rocking the socks off, man. So
I'm trying.
Yeah. So you got a new album that you've got a few singles out now.
I do, yeah.
People can download those on
Spotify? Yeah, anywhere. Yeah, Spotify, right. Tidal. Yeah.
But you got a full album getting ready to drop here sometime this summer.
Yes,
so tell us a little bit about the making of that process. Did you record it yourself? Did you go into studios? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, it's all done at home. And I mean, this project has been such a personal undertaking for me, as I imagine like most of them will be. But I don't know, it just feels it feels special. I mean, it's my first album, my first work of this size.
Yes.
And I think especially for me, the title of the album is called Patience, and it's really been interesting because I chose that name quite some time ago.
Yeah.
As I was writing the title track of the album that's called Patience, and it's been interesting that through the creation of this album and through like adopting that theme of patience and applying that to the creation of the album, it's been so interesting. It's been so, I don't know, like fulfilling for me to be able to sit with my work and sometimes say, man, I know I said I was going to release this album like a year ago, but I'm so glad that I didn't.
Right.
Because I think as an artist, like with more success, it will only become harder and harder to remain true to my craft and to make stuff that feels genuine to me and feels like, there aren't like a million hands on it. Not that collaboration isn't an amazing thing, but I think there's something to be said about the nature of this album being so much of it is just me in my room recording. I mixed it all, I produced it all, and there's definitely some people on the different tracks too. One of my good buddies, Trey Tarzia from Concord, shout out Concord. He's on the track, and then Peter Ricciardo Jr. I don't know if do you know Peter?
I don't know Peter.
I got to send you his stuff. One of the most amazing musicians I've ever met in my life. Just like a genius in his own right.
Yeah.
And just like a sweet person. He's on like 9 or 10 tracks, and I can't talk about the album without mentioning Peter, just because I think that he brought it to the next level in a lot of ways. Just his understanding of harmony and his feel and the amount of soul that he has. And also just having someone on the album that I feel I think Peter's one of those people that we really see eye to eye as far as like the state of the world and where our hearts are. And I think for me, it's become more and more important as I get older to work with people who I do see eye to eye with,
Right on,
I don't have disagreements, but just to have someone that solid on so much of my work is just really an honor for me. And he's one of the greats, and he doesn't know it yet, but just to have him on my stuff is super cool. And So that's exciting.
That's awesome.
And yeah, the album is just, it's all me. It's all my, you know, I don't know, I feel like it really is a look into how I function, you know, how I deal with stress. And it was kind of more or less the same for an EP that I released a while back, but I think this kind of digs a lot more into, it kind of moves outside of the romantic aspect of things, which is really what I find most easy to write about.
I was going to say, yeah, I mean, your sounds are very romantic.
Oh, thank you.
And a very positive way. Just something that's just something to enjoy, to listen to. And like I said, you got that Al Green sort of romance to it, man.
Thank you.
Love it.
And I'm really excited about this album. It is like, I would say, like my sort of coming of age album, you know, like just trying to put into words and into music some of the life lessons that I've learned, and some of the life lessons that I hope to carry with me, and some of the life lessons that I know I'll forget and will need to be reminded of at some point, as we all do, and even like on a daily basis. And that's another thing too about, I know a lot of artists have trouble listening to their own work, and a lot of artists even don't like their own work. And I would say that I don't necessarily feel the same about that, in that I really love going back to my work because I think it's like the best snapshot that I could have ever taken of a moment in my life. And that applies not only to the lyrics, not only to, you know, the melodies and the chords, but also like where my ear was at that time when I was mixing, because like I said, I mixed this whole record. So a lot of the tracks have like a very like almost like a demo character to them. And that just is a result of me working on this project as I'm learning to mix, as I'm in school learning how to mix, developing my ear, as I'm learning more about harmony. So I think like through the album, I can also see the progression of my own musical journey. And that is like I said, it's like the best picture I could ever take. You know, it's just the best memories. I can listen back to these tracks and like, I can hear little blips, little noise. And I'm like, oh, that was my buddy, John. Like when we were recording the thing in my closet and he was like out doing some funny, whatever the hell we were doing in my room. And like, and like, that's the best, man. And that's what I want my music to be about. And that's, I always want my soul, I want my heart to be at the core of what I do, and I think I did that with this album.
Fantastic.
And so even though I've heard it a million times, you know, I'm really proud to be releasing this music.
So is this album, was it all composed through your years at Berklee, past few years, or was any of the songs, you know, precursor to that? No,
actually most of them were, I would say a good half of them existed before I ever went to school.
Oh, right on.
Yeah. But yeah, definitely. I mean, they've changed because I've gone back and some of the songs I have said, you know, oh, this doesn't necessarily feel the way I want it to. And I have gone back and retouched the mix now that I have a different ear, because I think it's one of those things where like I had to decide. I was like, okay, do I want this album to be like a perfectly like commercially viable sounding album, or a different ear? Because I think it's I was just gonna say that, where like I had to decide. I was like, okay, do I want this album to be like a perfectly, but anyways, so like I was viable sounding album? I was like trying to find out like how close I wanted to ride that line, you know?
Right.
Because like I said, I think if the more and more I do this, it's only gonna get harder for me to be like, I want this to be solely creative, and I don't want there to be any aspect of like, oh, I need to make sure that this song can get on the radio. So commercialism. Commercialism. Right. Right. And I was like trying to find out how close I wanted to ride that line, you know? Because like I said, I think if the more and more I do this, acknowledge the fact that I do love a lot of like things about commercial music, and I think that there's a lot of power in, you know, being able to make something well and have it sound clean. But I also think that there's a lot of power in the diverse sounds of music when different ears are mixing it. And mixing has been a huge outlet for me, and also like a huge creative sort of journey as I'm like working on this album.
So have you had experience through school or to mix other performers, other artists' records as well?
Yeah, quite a bit. Yeah, a lot of my classes were just doing mixing each week, and a lot of times it was tracks that the school provided. Some tracks were better than others.
Yeah, sure.
Some were like, oh my god, this track has probably been here for like 30 years, and it should but it's just like, it's interesting. But yeah.
Well, in the past, let me ask you this: in your last interview here with rBeatz with Miss Annalise, you said you had a quote about your perfectionism, kind of holding you back. So, what's one song that you maybe released that still makes you cringe?
Ooh, One More Night with You. There's a song called One More Night with You that I released. It was one of my first releases. And sometimes I think I think that one is more really about the mix. It is.
Really?
I think my ear's just in such a different place now with mixing that I can really hear how juvenile it was at the point. But then again, I really try to have patience with myself. Patience coming out soon.
Brilliant, yes.
But I really try to have patience with myself. I do. And I try to say, like, I think that is one of the things about this industry is like you have to, at some point, be able to accept where you're at and release stuff and move on and accept that your stuff will progress and it will sound, better, whatever. It will change,
Right.
And so it's like I'm okay with the fact that One More Night, the mix sounds the way it does. And the other thing is, too, one of the things I still use now when I mix, too, is if I'm really sitting down and trying to be like, okay, should I release this or should I send this demo or whatever? If it makes me move, if I can move to it, if it touches me in some sort of way, then it can do that for other people. Right, regardless if I think there's these little like details that I haven't worked out in the mix that I want to fix. If it has that character, if it has that ability to move people, then like that's what it's all about. So
right on.
I mean,
so you can kind of look past your own perfectionism now.
I don't think I'm like there, I'm not like, oh, I've made it, but it's something I'm conscious of, and I think that's a step in the right direction. And yeah.
Well, I know you studied at Berklee, but what's one bad musical habit that you just have kept anyway that you just can't get rid of?
Bad musical habit. Probably, I mean, this isn't musical, but this comes up to the top of my head first. Sure. It's like organization. I think that's one of the things, like, especially if you're making a lot of music, it's like learning how to organize all the content and all of the just to get the most out of it, because like now there's probably a lot of songs that are kind of like lost in the ether, to be honest with you,
right?
Just like little stuff I've come up with and idea spur of the moment things. And I would say if I was a little bit more organized and able to sort, and I got to go through my hard drives at some point and sort through all these tunes and like find the old stuff I want to rework. But musical habit, I would say playing too much, and that is something that you hear mentioned within, like when you're at school, you'll hear it when you go to like jams or whatever, or in ensembles. There's definitely, I've had some really great. Ed Tomasi was my most recent ensemble instructor, amazing jazz saxophonist and amazing band leader and teacher, educator. He really helped me with that, especially getting to the more straight ahead stuff, like playing just like jazz with him. And it's still something that I struggle with, because I still think that a lot of times within the realm of improvisation, a lot of artists think that they have the problem is like they don't know what to play, when it's really that like you'll know what to play when you're supposed to play it. And if you don't know what to play, then that might mean that you have nothing to say at that moment in time.
Right.
And like trying to come to terms with that, because, as soon as you get in front of people, then there's another dynamic of, oh, people are watching me. I need to sound good, I need to deliver. It's the whole thing of like producing, giving, you're like, I have to give something. And I think like for me, that's still something I struggle with. When I get in front of people, and I don't think it will ever be like practicing Home Alone. And that's why people always say they sound the best when they're in their room at home. It's because I think they're removed from that sort of, not that the ego isn't involved, but I think it's involved much less when you're like at home in your boxers at 2 a.m. like shredding guitar. Like you're not thinking about, there's like a pretty girl or like whatever, you're just like, I'm playing, I'm having fun. This is more visceral, I think, in some ways. Like, but yeah.
I love it. So before we started the stream, you talked a little bit about, your current living situation. You grew up around Charlotte and Statesville.
Yeah.
Went to school in Boston, Berklee, finishing up there. And now you're preparing to move up to New York City, correct?
Yes, sir.
And we talked a little bit, especially like ego. Like, so what's it going to be like for you think, plugging in there? Like being a Southern raised gentleman going into, the hard knock, hustle and bustle of New York City.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that I have to remind myself about every single day. And I think that is regardless of where I'm at. Even if I'm in Boston, if I'm in Statesville, every day when I wake up, you know, I think each of us have to remind ourselves who we are, you know, where we come from, what we believe in, you know, what matters to us. And I find it much, much harder to do that in New York.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of people would agree. And it's just, I mean, to put it in perspective for you, I was at an event not too long ago, and a guy I was talking to, he said in his words, he said, in his experience, like if you are the type to go into New York and put yourself into the music community there and basically more or less be supportive and try to help other people who are trying to do the same thing and learn, you know, help teach people who maybe are not at the same level as you and like give them opportunities. He's like, the moment that you do that, then the people at the top of the music industry there are the ones that are going to like push you away.
Wow.
Because it's so gatekept, you know?
Yeah.
It really is, again, like it's very, there's a lot of, I don't know, there's like kind of this elite culture, you know? And I think that exists, obviously that exists in so many other realms than just the music world.
Right.
But I mean, it spills over there too, and it can be a lot for me to handle because I'm a very sensitive person. I'm a very empathetic person. I really care about what other people think, and I want other people to like me. I think that's human nature, and I think I want other people to see my intentions and to see me. And when that doesn't happen, and that's the thing too. I think. It's always about like fear-based reactions. You know what I mean?
Really is.
When you go
hold yourself back that way. It's easy. Yeah.
When you and also in the other sense, like with the other person, it's like whenever you go into a new community like that and want to integrate yourself and want to learn from people and want to be supportive, you know, you definitely, especially in New York, are gonna run across more of those egos that are really willing to try and break yours down in order to supplement their own. And not that that doesn't happen anywhere, but just I've noticed that the New York music community can be pretty brutal, you know? But also there can be some of the coolest, greatest musicians you've ever met there. And that's why I'm there. And I think that no matter where I go, I'm going to have to decide who I spend my time with. I'm going to have to decide what I believe, what I choose to let people tell me and choose to take and run with, and what I choose to leave behind and say, I don't think this has to apply to me.
Right.
You know? So it's just a constant, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
I dig it, man. Well, I know wherever you land, you're going to make a wonderful impact, man.
Well, thanks.
I'm thrilled for you.
Thank you so much.
So before we get too far in, let's take a minute to listen to one of your awesome tracks on your record. And I think this is called "Run Away with Me."
Yeah, this one was released as a single already.
Okay,
but
so it's already out there.
Yeah, one of the songs, and there's gonna be 15 songs on the album.
Wow.
So yeah, this is one of 15.
Massive.
Yeah.
Love it. All right, so let's check out a song from Eli Yacinthe, a song called "Run Away with Me" from his. It's released now, single, but it's on the forthcoming album, Patience.
Your feelings change.
Fantastic track from Eli Yacinthe, Run Away With Me, correct?
Yes, sir.
Man, what a great song, man.
Thank
and
you
you
so much.
produced all that yourself.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, and that song also, I have to mention, was heavily influenced by a band called Men I Trust.
Yes.
I don't know if you're familiar with them.
Absolutely.
But
She is amazing.
Yeah.
Her band is fantastic.
yeah, and kind of the feel of those guitars
Yes.
and the really light drums. You
Uh-huh.
know, I've been inspired by their music so much.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of artists, actually. Tame Impala,
Yes.
Men I Trust,
Yep.
always D'Angelo, Marvin Gaye, Stevie Wonder have always been influencing my writing. So
I love it. Well, how about this? What's a guilty pleasure artist that you would never admit to liking?
oh my gosh, a guilty pleasure artist that I'd never admit to liking. That's such a... Well, nowadays it's John Mayer, honestly.
Really?
Yeah, it's like not that I wouldn't admit. It's not that I wouldn't admit that I like him. It's just that like
Right.
we've all the guitarists, like,
Oh, yeah.
especially like if you're up at Berklee, like every
Sure.
guitarist has had a John Mayer phase. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah.
And so it's like, but I love his writing. I mean, I always have. I have a
Yeah.
real connection to it since I was pretty young. So
And with John Mayer, it's actually kind of surprised me. I've met a few young guitarists who John Mayer helped turn on to the Grateful Dead, who
Yeah.
are now like,
Right.
oh man,
Yeah.
they sound like Jerry Garcia because
Oh, yeah.
all through John Mayer.
yeah, he's
growing
brought a
up-
whole new generation.
Yeah,
into,
growing up,
yeah.
you know, they knew John Mayer from his own stuff, but then all of a sudden, Dead and Company, like,
Yeah.
whoa, expanded their language to the Grateful Dead.
Yeah.
So that's kind of interesting to see that sort of happen. You know, that new layer of influence from an old school band. So very cool. So once you get plugged into New York City, any big plans? Do you have musicians, a group that you're looking to work with, or do you have guys from Berklee that you'll continue to work with? What's the plan there? Will you kind of pursue it solo?
Yeah, well, actually, I'm moving in with 3 roommates.
Yeah.
And one of them is one of my best friends in the world. His name's Aaron Larrere.
Yeah.
He lives with me in Boston right now too. Just a great guy, one of my best friends in the world, and hard worker, great musician, writer, composer. And he and I are actually going into business together.
Right
So we're
on.
starting a label actually.
Yes.
So we're going into business together. We'll be in New York. We'll be producing. We're gonna do some sync stuff for like TV, film, that kind of stuff.
That's where it's at.
And we're gonna just produce artists in our space. We'll have a studio in Brooklyn, and so yeah, just doing our thing over there. Just trying to help artists develop their sound.
Right on.
Yeah.
Seems a lot of great footage of you, I guess, playing with some other folks from Berklee, different size ensembles, you know,
Yeah.
like even like great, so what would be your ideal combo?
Man, I love horns. You know,
Yeah.
I love horns.
Yeah.
So I definitely want horn section, like at least 2, but 3. You know, we're trying to add a 3rd. I know we've been gigging with 2 lately, but I want to
Nice.
add the trombone. It's just a different texture you can get with those 3 horns, especially the low one.
Right.
You know, guitar, electric guitar, and voice. I'll play electric guitar and sing.
Yep.
Drums, bass, keys. I love the Rhodes. My boy Peter up there, he just got his Rhodes fixed. He's been using that, and it's just like
There's
different.
nothing. Oh, I'm telling you, those vintage instruments.
Yeah.
They're obviously, Rhodes is one of them. There's so many things emulate them.
Yeah.
You know, we got the Nord keyboard right over behind you.
Right.
It's incredible in the Rhodes. But man, yeah, you get a player on a real Rhodes.
Yeah.
There's nothing like it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but
It's different.
It can't be beat.
Yeah.
All right. How about this question? If you had to cut one band member from the van,
Right.
to make room, who would it be?
Oh God, can I even answer that? Are we live right now? The guys are probably listening, man.
Maybe not drop names, but
Okay. If I, oh
an
my
instrument.
gosh, if I had to drop one instrument, I mean, it would be horns. I guess it would have to be, because if I drop drums and you could do it without drums, you could do it without bass, but
Yeah.
I think if I had to do a gig with a smaller combo, then
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, horns.
Yeah. I love you guys. I love you guys so much.
You're a bonus. Yeah, strap them to the roof of the
Yeah.
van.
Yeah, I'm only riding like on the top of the car from now on. I don't
Right. Yeah. And you're gonna have to. That's what you got to do when you're the band leader. You
Yeah.
got to sacrifice. I love it. So, do you see yourself continuing to just be in music for the rest of your life?
Rest of my life.
Yeah.
Yeah, music, and hopefully, like really trying to get into activism too, and just bring people together, and
Right on.
just try to promote love and people coming together around good music. Yeah.
Awesome. Do you have any? I know you're doing some traveling coming up. Do you have any shows coming up that you like promote?
I have some shows. I haven't announced them yet, but I do have some stuff coming up. Yeah, I'm excited.
So where can people find out about your shows when you do let them know?
I post all over my Instagram. I've been posting a lot lately too, and I'll be posting some more album content. But Eli Yacinthe music. Yeah,
love it.
So on Instagram, Facebook, Spotify, all that stuff.
How about this? One more question here before we go to break. If you had to delete either your Instagram profile or lose your pedal board, which would you choose? You know what's funny is that I don't even have a pedal board. Oh! Well, I do, but I don't use it. It's literally collecting dust under my bed in Boston. But you know what? I would give up my Instagram. Really? I would give up my Instagram, even though I don't even use my pedal board, because I would love to not be on my Instagram all the time. I think I'm way too attached to social media, like most of us. Yeah, it is. It's a challenge, really, to find a balance between, Instagram and, like I said, trying to spread the word, beat the algorithm, whatever it takes to kind of get yourself out there, versus not, And I know with pedal boards, it's amazing to hear that you don't use one. You have one, but you don't use it because it seems like a lot of times guitar players really lean on that pedal board. Yeah. And if something goes wrong on stage, it's usually in that pedal board. Yeah. Well, I kind of went reverse because I always was like afraid to get pedals and then like not get the tone I wanted out of my hands and the instrument. But now I think it's cool because now I want to introduce a lot more of them. I've been listening to a lot of people use like these granular synthesis pedals that make all these wonky like swooshing, like, and it's really cool, like background swells you can do and stuff. I want to get into some of that. I think that'd be fun to play some of those more gigs. Colors that way. Yeah, exactly. Just kind of be the guy in the back doing some like some beautiful little psychedelic stuff. And that says something about, ego driven. It's like, hey, you know what? I don't have to be the guy playing the leads all the time. I can be the guy playing rhythm, or like I said, some really colorful, just ambiance. Far less stress too, to not be the band leader. Yeah, I love that. Well, hey, it's been great to have you in the studio, Eli. We're going to take a quick break, have a segment from our sponsors, and be right back to finish up. Stick around, guys. You know it.
Proud to present the latest addition to the rBeatz trending show, Greazy Keyz. Take it away, Greazy.
Hey, thanks so much, Annalise. I'm thrilled to be here and look forward to the show.
Thank you so much, Greazy, and welcome back to this week's segment of What's Trending Now on rBeatz Radio, Media, and Streaming Network. Thank you all so much for tuning in, and now let's get started with our upcoming local, national, and international concerts, starting off with Billy Idol, who's performing with Joan Jett and the Blackhearts at Madison Square Garden on Wednesday, August 20th. Doors open at 7 p.m. You can get your tickets at Ticketmaster.com. Greazy, ever been to Madison Square Garden?
Annalise, I haven't had the pleasure to play there yet, but one of these days, it's one of my dreams.
We're going to manifest that right here at rBeatz. Superstar Tate McRae is headed on her Miss Possessive tour and is headed to both Charlotte's Spectrum Center on Friday, October 24th and Raleigh Lenovo Center on Saturday, October 25th. Doors open at 7 p.m. You can get your tickets at Ticketmaster.com. Greazy, ever been to Raleigh before?
Oh, yeah. I love our little state capital. Played there many times over the years and seen a lot of great shows. Love Raleigh.
Go see him when he's performing next. Calling all fellow monsters, Lady Gaga is headed on tour for the Mayhem Ball, performing at the Kia Forum in Inglewood, California on Fridays and Saturday, August 1st and 2nd. Doors open at 8 p.m. You can get your tickets at Ticketmaster.com. Greazy, what's your favorite Lady Gaga song?
I got to say, Born This Way has always been a big favorite of mine. I've always been a little monster for Lady Gaga.
Yeah, we love Lady Gaga here at rBeatz. And this is Annalise Pearl and Greazy Keyz bringing you all the new details on the latest trending watercolor conversations. Stay on top of the rBeatz app and rBeatz.com. Always bring you the best independent, national, and international music artists. Constant influences are right here on the rBeatz app. You all know the drill. Now let's get started with this week's DJ World Beats top trending songs. Spinning now on 25/8 366, our global pop stream, DJ World Beats brings you Maison by Emilio Piano featuring Lucy, Raymond Parados by Maria Barsar and Paulo Leandro, Spingle by Luan and Lamanio. Trending now on rBeatz Radio, our house and EDM stream, we have The Way I Love You by Georgia Smith, Open Your Eyes by Pascal, Freaking You Out by Robin Schultz, Nervo, and Copy. And coming up on We Global Radio, our hip-hop and R&B stream, we have I'll Be Good by Jay Don, Kissin' in Public by Dustin Conrad, Where You Gonna Go by Eric Robertson and BJ the Chicago Kid. So Beautiful by Johnny Venus and Black. Heavyweight by Junior Chow featuring Quavo. New Louis Vuitton featuring Khan and Yodam with Shy Boy Toby and Whalem. And we closing out on USA Heroes, our classic rock and country station. We have Getting Gone by Ernest featuring Snoop Dogg. All the Way by Big X The Pulp featuring Bailey Zimmerman. FUFN Acoustic by Jade. And the Typo House featuring Jethro Tull. And stepping up on the main stage with Spotify playlist Only Bangers Hits Different, we have Holding Back the Years by Paolo. That concludes this week's countdown. And be sure to check out our social media sensation show, What's Trending Now, where we've got Greazy Keyz as our new addition. And be sure to check out rBeatz TV on YouTube and rBeatz.com. Thanks for watching. Take it away, Greazy.
Oh, yeah, that's a lot of fun. Thanks a lot, Annalise, for those really, really cool trending tunes. And again, we got my man Eli Yacinthe in here in the studio.
Yes,
just following up, because you were in here a couple of months back. You were still deep in the Berklee School there and probably still working on your album. But now we have a few singles out and you got a full-length album getting ready to come out sometime soon called
sir.
Patience.
Yes, sir.
I love it. Love it. Well, we had a chance to listen to that one track and it was just amazing. So, yeah, where do you see yourself in about 5 years? Do you see yourself just still rocking away out of New York City?
Hopefully, yeah. Hopefully based in New York City, hopefully traveling home a lot. I think recently I've just really, it's become more and more clear to me that I want to spend time at home,
Right on.
Even though it can be hard to come home sometimes.
Yes.
I think it's just like, I'm watching my baby brother and sister grow up now.
Nice.
Like my baby brother's now like calling me and stuff and like wants to talk music, and
Is he performing as well?
he's trying to learn guitar. He is learning guitar right now. And it's just like, it just brings me like so much joy to watch, him show so much interest in developing a relationship with me. I just never had a little brother, and
Yeah.
I love that so much. And for him, but also, my mom and for my family, my friends, people that are here, I want to get back, and I want to, help my community too. Actually, one of my goals is to start a nonprofit.
Fantastic.
And I actually have a week planned in July where I'll be home and I'll be working the whole week with an artist from Statesville, from my
Fantastic.
hometown.
Yeah.
Completely free of charge to the artist, and we'll be producing and we'll come up with a project for them at the end of that week. And that's something that I want to do more, and trying to get my community behind that.
Yeah.
And start a nonprofit where I can just go home, be able to travel, be able to, afford to travel home, but then produce someone from my hometown, from Statesville, free of charge, give them some really good level work, like help them develop their sound. And then from there, help guide them as like, okay, now what do you do with this? Where are you going to take this? Are you going to show it to, like how are you going to use this to make gigs and develop their music career? That's a huge passion of mine.
Yeah.
And especially being able to do that in Statesville specifically. Like I want to do that in Statesville, like the town where I grew up, because there are so many great artists there.
It's true.
But I definitely see myself doing that in 5 years. Hopefully, actually making money from doing shows would be nice in the next 5 years. That would be really cool. Shows are definitely a passion project right now.
Right.
Which I'm not at all afraid of and definitely don't have a problem with, because it's what I love to do. But yeah, I would love to see myself be able to depend more on that.
Yeah. Where's another question with shows like that? So do you see yourself primarily as an original artist, or would you want to be willing to do like cover shows for money?
I love cover shows. I mean, in what capacity? Like doing like a cover band type thing, or doing
just like a cover party band or something like that.
I definitely want to
Yeah.
take on some of those gigs. It might not be the stuff that I like really put my time into promoting,
Right.
necessarily. Like if I play in a wedding gig or whatever,
Right,
but like
yeah.
there's so much to be learned from that. And some of the best musicians that I know are the musicians that are playing like wedding gigs and stuff. That is like where the guys who know what they play with people all the time.
Yeah.
I mean they're always playing with different people too. So
That's
it's like
true.
I'm learning so much from them, and
Yeah.
usually they smoke me. So I'm like, so it always makes me want to, so definitely I would take on some of those gigs. I think right now though, I'm staying pretty busy with
Good.
my own creative stuff. There's so much music I want to make,
Yeah.
and I really think like I really have the energy right now. I have the time right now
Good.
to dig in and kind of, I don't know, just develop a lot of sounds that there's a lot of, not that I think at this point, like not that most sound has been created. I don't think that's true at all, but I just love the intersection of jazz and pretty much any kind of music. Jazz harmony is like one of my biggest passions.
Yeah.
And wanting to take that further, even though it's been stretched pretty far, but wanting to apply that to some more genres. But not only just, because anybody, I think any producer could say, take a country artist and be like, okay, let's incorporate elements of jazz.
Right.
But I think it really has to do with the authenticity, the knowledge base behind that. Does that producer know jazz? Does that producer play jazz? Does that producer know, and not that not that you ever arrive at a point where like, oh, jazz. What is jazz? Okay, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, but just trying to approach each of those tunes from a really authentic place and be like, okay, how can we do this in a place that feels genuine?
Right. I think, like you said, you mentioned country music. That is a genre that they obviously try to incorporate so many other elements like hip hop and things like that nowadays just to try to stay relevant. I would love to hear a country jazz album.
Yeah. And that's actually something I'm in the talks with some people about.
And not be about beer drinking in the pickup truck, but
Well, and like I was saying, like I think a lot of times it's done very quickly and it is done to bring commercial viability to the track in most cases, I think, as opposed to someone being, I can't speak for everyone, but I think a lot of times that's what it is, as opposed to someone being passionate about country and jazz.
Right.
And wanting to make something of substance, And I really want to try to be the type of producer that that is gonna, do my research and try to make some music that feels, I don't know, that has some soul to it,
It's authentic.
Some content, some soul, some heart,
Yeah.
But and also too, like just trying to navigate my own personality, my own ego, being a producer, having my hand in other people's work, and trying to figure out how to ride the line between, producing with someone, which is what I think I want to do more. I don't really think I want to produce people. I want to produce with them because I think it's always a team effort. But trying to inspire and trying to encourage, as opposed to like trying to drive the car.
Right.
That makes sense.
Less control.
Yeah, I think there's different schools of that. Like when you get into the world of music production.
No doubt.
And I really appreciate the producers like Rick Rubin, those guys like who
has no musical background whatsoever, but
and
what an ear.
Yeah.
Oh man, Rick Rubin, is iconic music producer, zero musical talent.
Right. He's something else, bro.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Very cool. Well, Eli, we are just been thrilled to have you back here in rBeatz, and we want to continue to keep up with you.
Yes, sir.
I know you just finished up with Berklee. You got an incredible summer planned ahead,
yes,
with the album release and some awesome shows yet to be announced, but they're going to be coming up. But definitely keep us in the loop.
I will.
And we'd love to have you back here very soon.
Dude, it's good to see you again, man. Good to be back home for a minute.
And hey, any chance I would have to get on stage with you, man, just count me in 100%.
Yes, sir.
We'd love to back
sir.
you up in any capacity.
Yes, sir.
So thank you.
And thank you all the people at rBeatz too. Yeah, they've always been so sweet to me. So thank you guys.
Absolutely. Well, hey, this has been Greazy Keyz with Local Music Somewhere featuring Eli Yacinthe, and we appreciate you coming in.
Peace.
Wish you all the best, and we'll see you soon. Take care.
Yeah, 316. Got game and pulled out his own Atari. I said sorry, I'ma have to pass like Nash to Amari. Tiger up early on a Sunday, sinking birdies while the pigskin spinning through the air, tight and birdie. It's a TD, it's a TKO, a home run, it's a hat trick. Ain't no way to be an all-star without practice. So if you down to sacrifice your life for a draft pick, it's a pretty sweet position you can live in if you have some things in the air. If you got game,